an audio-only recording of an exercise session for Vision of Adventure. This recording is supported by Disability Rights UK, a yoga session led by Carol Downing.
There we go. So welcome, nice to see you again, and welcome to this class. As always, just a reminder that this is your practice and that what we're working towards with our yoga is to really coordinate our breath with our movements. So whatever posture you're in, you should feel nice and comfortable and still be able to breathe in that posture. So if that's not the case, then you need to just pull back from whatever it is you're doing and maybe do one of the variations if I've given you a variation, or maybe you just go back to something that you know where you can be more settled and you can get your breath back. So important to remember that it's your practice. So talking about the breath, we are going to start with some breath work. We're going to start sitting this evening. So I can see that Dave is already sitting with his legs crossed. So that is one option, to sit with your legs crossed in front of you. That's not comfortable, you can take them out in front. If you want to sit with your legs nice and gently crossed, wherever your legs are, we are going to have a little wriggle and see if we can find our sit bones. So we want to root those sit bones firmly into the mat and into the ground. And we want to think about stacking our upper body over those sit bones and sitting up nice and tall with a nice straight back. We want to try and drop our shoulders down away from our ears. And we want to see if we can draw the crown of the head up away from our body and towards the ceiling. We can take our hands wherever's comfortable for us. You can maybe rest them on your knees, or you can maybe take one hand, one palm on top of the other and rest them in your lap. Try and find nice and comfortable. And then we're just going to drop our chin to our chest, and we're going to take our gaze down towards the floor. And we're going to turn our attention inwards, and we're just going to focus on our breath as we bring ourselves into this yoga space and into our yoga practice. So I'd invite you to breathe in and out through the nose. And as you inhale in, we want to take that breath all the way down to the belly. So keep it nice and slow and steady, and see if you can feel the breath traveling down to the belly, and see if you can feel the belly filling with breath. The belly rising away from the spine as it fills with breath. And then taking a pause at the top of the inhale. And then as you exhale, we feel the belly gently sink back towards the spine. And maybe you can feel the movement of the breath through the chest and then out through the nose. So inhaling in through the nose, taking that breath all the way down to the belly, feeling the belly gently fill with breath, letting the belly be soft and let it really expand and fill with that breath. And then taking a pause at the top of the inhale. And then as you exhale, you feel the belly sink back towards the spine and feel the breath travel through the chest and out through the body. So let's just do 3 more of those breaths in your own time. And maybe we just want to think about keeping your mind clear. So if there's any thoughts that are troubling you from the day, maybe we can just let them float away for the moment. Maybe we can just focus on our breath and bring ourselves into our yoga practice. So we're working towards keeping the breath nice and flowing. So seeing if we can move from the inhale to the exhale nice and slowly. See if we can keep it a nice deep breath traveling all the way down to the belly. And then as we come to the end of that third and final breath of our lovely belly breaths, we're going to let our breath come back to its normal pattern. And then we're gently going to raise our chin, raise our head back up from the floor. So just going to take a moment here. We're going to work on our shoulders and our head to begin with. So if you've chosen to do your belly work down on the floor, maybe you can sit up now so that you're sitting either with your legs crossed or your legs in front. We're going to have a little bit of a wriggle on that lower, on those sit bones and sitting up nice and tall. And then we're going to drop the left ear down towards the left shoulder. So we want to keep your shoulder nice and soft. And we can maybe take our left hand up to our head. So taking your left hand to the crown of the head. And you can use this to gently ease that ear down towards the shoulder if you wish. But keep it nice and gentle. You should be feeling the stretch in the right-hand side of the neck. And we're going to take one lovely breath here. We're just going to think about still sitting nice and upright. We want to avoid rolling forward here as we go into this posture. And then we're going to release the right hand and bring the head back to the central position. And then we're going to take the right ear down towards the right shoulder. Feel that stretch in the opposite side of the head. And you can take your right hand to the crown of the head and you can gently draw your head down towards your ear. We're going to hold it here and enjoy this lovely stretch. Again, just thinking about keeping the body nice and upright. So you still want to be lifting from the chest, sitting up nice and tall, and just enjoying that stretch as we take a breath. And then we're going to release our hand and we're going to bring our head back to center. We're going to bring our hands, and we're going to put our hands on our shoulders, and we're going to take our elbows out, away from the body, so that our upper arms are parallel with the floor. And then we're going to do some really big circles, so stretching the elbows out away from the body and then turning them in some really big circles. So if you've moved forward, you want to try and keep your head nice and still and keep that lovely upright position and really opening up those shoulder blades and getting them moving, working with your breath here, inhaling as you raise the arms and exhale as we lower. And then you're going to reverse whichever way you were going. Let's bring it round in the opposite direction. This is a great one for just loosening up the shoulders before we start. Let's do one more round. And then let's release. Let's bring those hands and let them float down to the floor so that they land either side of the hips, just resting on the fingertips. And then we're going to walk our hands behind us. And we're going to have our fingertips pointing away from our body. So take them a couple of steps behind you, your hands. And then we're going to drop the shoulders. We're going to inhale and lift the chest. And then we're going to inhale further. We're going to lift the chest. And we're going to tilt our head up towards the ceiling. Draw our shoulder blades down and back behind us. We're going to open up the chest here and take 2 lovely breaths. So try and keep your shoulders soft. Really work on drawing the shoulder blades down and back behind. Take one more lovely breath here in this stretch. And then relax. So we're going to bring the arms back to the side. And then we're going to bring the arms off the mat. And we're going to take, we're just going to take the right arm off the mat. And we're going to raise the right hand up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to bend the right elbow, and you can bring your left hand to the right elbow. As we bend the right elbow, we take the right hand down behind our head, and the palm of the right hand is looking for the back of our neck. So you want to use your left hand and open up that left elbow above your head to help ease that hand behind. That's lovely. So we're going to hold this here. We're going to take 3 breaths here in this stretch. And as we breathe, I'd like to think about resting your head back on your right arm and keeping that lovely upright position. So we're going to inhale and exhale nice and deep, feeling that breath in the chest and in the belly. We want to avoid your head and your body dropping forward. So lean back with the head and lift through the chest. That's lovely. One final breath here. Lovely. And then we're going to release those hands, give them a little bit of a shake as we bring the arms back down to the mat, either side of the mat. Lovely. Then we're going to do the same with the opposite arm. So we take the left arm up above our head, the fingers are reaching up towards the ceiling. And as we bend the left elbow, we bring the right hand over and above our head, and we bend that left elbow behind, and we take the palm of the left hand down behind our head. So again, just have a little bit of a wriggle of those sit bones We want to inhale and lift through the chest. Draw your head back so that it rests on your arm. That will help keep you nice and upright. And try to avoid rolling forward. If you feel that you're rolling forward, just release the hold on that right elbow a little and don't stretch your hands so far back behind your head. We've got one more final breath here. So enjoy the stretch. Lovely. And then we're going to release the hands and we're going to give the arms a shake as we bring them back down to the mat either side. Let them rest either side. That's lovely. And then we're going to release our crossed legs out in front. And we're going to swing our legs out behind. We're going to place both hands on the mat and we're going to come round onto our knees and onto our hands and we're going to find our tabletop position. So in tabletop, we want our wrists under our shoulders and we want our knees under our hips. The tops of our feet are flat on the floor and our hands are about shoulder distance apart and our legs are about hip distance apart. So we really want to think about and try and feel this nice flat back position. So we're pressing down into the mat and we're lifting the shoulders and we're keeping the head nice and level and relaxed in line with the spine. So we just take one breath here as we feel this posture. And then we're going to go into some slinky cats here this evening. So to move into our slinky cat, we're going to start by rounding the spine up towards the ceiling, dropping the chin to the chest. And as you drop the chin into the chest, the head drops and the tailbone drops. We're pressing down through our arms and our hands into the mat. And then we're going to reverse this motion. So we release that pressure and we let our chest drop down towards the mat and we release our chin from our chest and our head rises slightly in line with the spine and our tailbone rises. So we've got that opposite movement in the spine. Lovely. So let's go again. So I'm inhaling as I press down through my arms, through my hands, around the spine. I tuck the chin into my chest and my tailbone follows and drops as I push that spine up towards the ceiling. And then I'm exhaling as I release the pressure and I let my chest drop down towards the floor. I release the chin from the chest. I let the head follow the movement of the spine and the tailbone. So let's do 3 more of these in your own time, trying to coordinate the movement with your breath and seeing if you can think about your back being like a hammock that's hinged at your shoulders and hinged at the hips, so that this movement is really working on your spine and your head and your tailbone is following the movement of the spine so that it really flows. So it takes some getting used to, but it is a lovely, lovely movement for releasing the spine. And then as you come to the end of that 3rd round in your own time, we're going to come back to our nice neutral position. And we're just going to feel that pressing down, the lifting of the chest, the head level with the spine, nice and relaxed as we take a breath. And then we're going to tuck our toes under behind us, so tuck the toes of both feet behind us. And we're going to drop our bottom back towards our heels. We're going to let our head drop between our arms. And we're going to press our arms and our hands into the mat. And we're going to press our heels away from the body as we prepare to come up into our first down dog of our practice. So our knees come off the mat first. And then we raise our bottom up towards the ceiling. We straighten out the legs and we find our down dog. So we're going to walk out our down dog to begin with. So we're going to raise alternate heels and bend the knees and we're going to swing the hips. We're going to let our head hang heavy down between our arms and you're just going to think about your down dog position. Are your fingers nicely spread? And just think about the position of your feet in relation to your hands. You don't want them too far away. So if you don't feel like you've got a nice V shape, then you can walk your feet in a little closer towards your hands and see if that's more comfortable for you. And then we're going to pause and we're going to come to stillness. We're going to draw our heels down towards the floor, feeling the stretch in the legs. We're dropping the head nice and heavy between the arms, and we're taking a pause here as we breathe. And then we're going to walk our feet in towards our hands. We're going to keep our knees nice and bent. And walk the feet in until our feet are between our hands. So our hands are flat on the floor, either side of the feet. Our knees are nicely bent. Our upper body is folded forward, nice and relaxed. And the crown of the head is dropping down towards the floor. So we're going to hold it here in this forward fold. We're looking for nice soft shoulders, nice soft toes. Got one more breath here in this beautiful forward fold. And then we're going to raise our hands off the mat, and we're going to find alternate elbows with alternate hands. And we're going to create a cradle with our arms, and we're going to let our head drop down towards our arms. We're going to find our ragdoll position, and we're going to bring some movement into this ragdoll. So you maybe want to swing your hips, you maybe want to swing your arms, you maybe just want to let your head move. Whatever movements feel good and comfortable for you. Just a lovely release for the shoulders. We've got one more breath here in our lovely ragdoll. And then we're going to release our hands from our elbows, and we're going to place them back on the mat, either side of our feet, nice and flat. Bend the knees, crown of the head down towards the floor. And then with the next inhale, we're going to come up to standing. And this evening, we're going to place our hands on our legs, and we're very slowly going to draw our hands up our legs as we roll our back vertebrae by vertebrae up to a standing position. Our head is heavy and our head comes up last. And we roll and roll and roll that back until we're fully standing, nice and tall. Lovely. And then when we get standing, we're going to roll those shoulders back, up and back 2 times, give them a lovely roll, and then roll them up and forwards a couple of times. Lovely. And then give those legs a little bit of a shake, maybe give your arms a little bit of a shake. Excellent. And then staying at the top of your mat and working with your feet either hip distance apart and parallel, or you can work with your feet closer together. Maybe you've got your toes together and your heels slightly apart. We're going to stand up nice and tall, really make contact with the ground with your feet. Think about tucking your tailbone in. Think about lifting the chest, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, letting the arms hang heavy down by your side, taking a breath as we just experience this mountain pose. And then with the next inhale, the arms come out to the side, and we lift the arms up and overhead. We bring the hands together in prayer, and then as we exhale, we fold from the hips. We bring the hands down, keeping the palms together, and we fold our upper body forward as we bend our knees, and we bring our upper body and our head and our hands down to the floor, releasing the hands, taking them either side of the feet to find our forward fold once more. And then we're going to inhale and we're going to lift up into our half fold. So we bring the hands off the mat, we take them to our shins or our ankles, we stretch our chest and our head away from our body. We're looking for a nice flat back that's parallel with the floor. We're going to hold it here and take a breath. And then we're going to release. We're going to bend the knees, we're going to take the hands back to the mat, flat either side of the feet, drop the crown of the head down towards the floor, back into our forward fold. And then we're going to step our right foot back as far as you can, and we're going to step our left foot back as far as we can, and we're going to find our plank position briefly this evening. So we bring our weight forward over our hands, our shoulders are above our wrists. We're pressing our heels away from the body. We're lifting through the chest. Our head is level with our spine. And then we're going to drop both knees down to the mat, and we're going to release our toes so that the tops of the feet are flat on the floor. So leaving the hands where they are, we're going to bend our elbows, and as we bend our elbows, we're going to see if we can lower the upper body down to the mat. So as you bend the elbows, you want to keep them nice and close to your body, and see if you can really let your body come down to the mat nice and slow. So however you've got there, once you've got your chest and your head on the floor, we're just going to check in with our hands and see they're nice and flat either side of the shoulders, and that your elbows are still bent and tucked into your body. And we're going to press down into the backs of the feet and press down into the hips, into the floor, and keeping the elbows and the hands where they are. We're going to inhale, and we're going to lift our chest and lift our head and come into a lovely low cobra. So we're going to hold it here and take a breath. Lovely. And then we're going to release, and we're going to let our chest and our head sink back down towards the mat or the floor. And when your head and your chest is back on the mat, leaving your arms and your elbows where they are, we're going to tuck both toes under behind us. And we're going to keep our head and our gaze firmly down towards the floor. We're going to inhale, we're going to press through our arms and our hands. We're going to lift our upper body, maybe coming onto our knees first. And we're going to come all the way back up into our down dog. And as we rise up back into our down dog, we're going to keep it nice and fluid. So we're going to walk it out again, and we're going to swing the hips. We're going to think about the distance between our feet and our hands and adjust it if you need to. Just take one more breath here in this down dog, keeping it moving. And then we're going to come to stillness, and we're going to draw our heels down towards the floor. We're going to drop the head between the arms. We're going to take a breath. And then with the next inhale, we're taking the right foot off the floor, and we're stretching the right leg out behind us. The right toes are pointing down towards the floor. We're in our three-legged dog. We're going to hold it here and take a breath. We're trying to keep everything else nice and still. And then with the next inhale, we're going to see if we can raise that right leg a little bit higher. And we're going to take one more breath here, keep it nice and strong. And then we're going to bend the right knee, and we're going to bring the whole of the right leg under the body. And we're going to take that right foot, and we're going to see if we can place it between our hands, or we're just going to shuffle it forward. We're going to drop our back knee down to the mat, and we're going to release our back toes so that our left top of the foot is flat on the mat. So we should have a nice right angled bend in the right leg. And we've got our hands either side of our foot. We're going to come up onto our fingertips. We're going to just slightly lift our chest away from that right thigh. We're going to stretch our head and our chest forward. We're going to drop our shoulder down away from our ears. And we're going to take 2 more lovely breaths in this slow runner's lunge. So see if you can let your hips just sink down towards the floor. Think about sinking those shoulders away from the ears. Let's take our final breath here. And then we're going to take the hands off the mat, and we're going to stretch our arms out in front of us. Our hands are parallel, and it's as if we're going to pick a beach ball up off the floor. We're going to raise both arms, keeping the hands parallel up in front of our body. And as we raise our beach ball up over our head, we're bringing our upper body up into an upright position. So if you don't feel very balanced here, you can drop your arms and you can rest your hands on your front thigh. But if you're balanced here, we're going to hold it here. We're going to take 2 more lovely breaths. We're reaching up to the ceiling with our arms and our hands. Shoulders are dropping down away from the ears. And we're breathing down into our legs and our feet to keep us nice and stable. 1 more breath here. And then we're going to let our arms relax, and we're going to let our arms float down in front of the body, down towards the floor. And we hinge from the hips and we let our body follow. And when our hands reach the floor, either side of the feet, we're going to keep our left hand on the floor, and we're going to release our right hand, and we're going to take our right arm up towards the ceiling, and we're going to twist and turn our head towards that right hand. So we're going to hold it here, and we're going to take 2 more breaths in this lovely twist. So again, you want to breathe nice and deep all the way down through your legs, through your feet. We're trying to stack one shoulder on top of the other. We're really trying to twist that upper body and turn your chest and your head up towards the hand. Let's take one final breath here. And then we're going to release that right arm and that right hand. And it's going to float back down to the mat so that both hands are framing that front foot once more. And then we're going to tuck our back toes under, and we're going to release that back knee off the mat. And we're going to take our front foot back to meet our back foot so that we find our down dog position again. And we're just going to walk it out and take a breather in our down dog. Lovely. And then we're going to come to stillness, and we're going to draw those heels down towards the floor. We're going to take one breath here in our down dog. And then with the next inhale, we're going to take our body weight forward. We're going to come into our plank position again. So shoulders are over wrists, heels are pressing away from the body. We're pressing down into the floor, lifting the shoulders. The head is nice and level with the spine. And then we drop both knees down to the mat, and we release our toes so the tops of the feet are on the mat. And leaving our arms and our hands where they are, we're going to bend our elbows, and we're going to go for this chaturanga again. We're going to lower the upper body down to the floor, nice and easy, as gently and as controlled as you can. We're going to bring the whole of the chest and the head down to the mat. Lovely. So once everything's down on the mat, we're just going to check in. See your hands are nice and flat under your shoulders. Your elbows are nice and bent and tucked into your body. We're going to press down through the tops of the feet, press down through the hips, and inhale and lift the chest, lift the head, keep the elbows bent and tucked into the body. Got our lovely low cobra again, taking a breath. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to lower the chest and lower the head all the way back down to the mat, keeping the elbows where they are, keeping the hands where they are. We tuck the toes under behind us, and then we press down through the arms and the hands. We lift the upper body off the mat, maybe come onto our knees first, and we push ourselves all the way back up into our down dog once more. And we're going to walk it out and keep it fluid while we just take a breather and take a breath. And then we come to stillness, and we draw those heels down towards the floor. The head is heavy and the head's hanging between the arms. And we take a breath. And then with the next inhale, the left leg comes out behind us, and we stretch the left foot away from the body. We're trying to keep everything else nice and still. We don't want our body to fall over towards the right-hand side. So try and keep everything else nice and central while you breathe here, drawing that right heel down towards the floor. And then with the next inhale, we're going to see if we can lift that left leg a little bit higher and take one more breath. And then we're bending the left knee, we're bringing the whole of the leg under the body, and we're traveling that foot forward, and we're seeing if it can land between our hands, or we're just shuffling it forward. And we're dropping the back knee behind us, and we're releasing the back toes. So we should be finding ourselves in our low runner's lunge on the opposite side now. So we've got a nice bend in the front knee. The front knee is over the front ankle. We're going to come up onto our fingertips either side, of our front foot. We're going to drop our shoulders down away from our ears. We're going to lift our chest. We're going to let our hips sink down towards the floor. And we're going to take 2 more lovely breaths here in this runner's lunge. And then we're going to take our hands off the mat. And we're going to take our arms out in front of our body. Our hands are parallel, as if we're picking up a beach ball in front of our foot. And then we're going to lift our beach ball off the floor. And we're going to raise our arms and our hands up overhead. And as we do so, we bring our body up into a nice upright position. So again, if this doesn't feel nice and stable for you, you can drop your arms and your hands down to your waist or your leg to help you. Otherwise, let's breathe nice and deep all the way down through our legs, through our feet. Let's drop those shoulders down away from the ears. Let's stretch the arms and the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Let's take 1 more lovely breath here. And then we're going to let both arms float down towards the floor. We hinge at the hips and our body floats down, back down towards that thigh until both hands frame our front foot once more and they're on the floor. We're going to keep the right hand on the floor and we're going to release the left hand this time. We're going to take the left arm up towards the ceiling. We're really going to open up that chest. We're going to turn our chest and our head up towards that left hand. Feel the twist. We're trying to stack one shoulder on top of the other. We're going to inhale and exhale here for 1 more lovely breath. Lovely. And then we're going to release that left arm. It's going to float back down to the mat so that both hands are framing our front foot once more. And then we're going to tuck our back toes under. We're going to release that back knee off the floor. And we take our front foot back to meet our back foot. And we find our down dog once more. And we're just going to walk it out. Swing the hips, let the head be heavy, and take a breather. And then we're going to come to stillness, and we're going to draw those heels down towards the mat and take a breath. And then we're going to inhale, and we're going to move our body weight forward. We're going to find our plank position 1 final time this evening. We're going to hold it here, stretch the head away from the body. And then we drop both knees down to the floor. We release the toes so the backs of the feet are flat on the mat. And we bend our elbows, keeping them close into the body. And we lower the upper body all the way down to the mat, nice and controlled. And then when the whole of your body is down on the floor, and you've got your hands either side underneath your shoulders, nice and flat, we're pressing down through the tops of the feet and the hips. We're going to inhale and we're going to lift the chest. We're going to lift the head off the mat. We're going to take a breath here. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to lower our chest and our head back down to the floor. The elbows are still bent and tucked into the body. And then we're tucking our toes under behind us. And we're pressing down through our arms and our hands. We're lifting our upper body, maybe coming down to the knees first. And then we're pushing our bottom up towards the ceiling. And we're finding our down dog for 1 last time. So we're going to walk it out and swing the hips. And then we're going to come to stillness, and we're going to draw our heels down towards the floor. Your head is heavy and hangs between your arms, and take a breath. And then we're going to walk our feet in towards our hands. So we're keeping our knees nice and bent. And when our feet are between our hands, we're dropping the crown of the head towards the floor in our forward fold. And then we're inhaling up into our half forward fold. So we're bringing our hands to our shins or our ankles. And we're stretching our body and our head away from our body. We're looking for that nice flat back that's parallel with the floor. And then we're releasing back down to the mat. So we take the hands either side of the feet, nice and flat, bend the knees, crown of the head down towards the floor. And then from here, we're coming up to standing. So we're taking the hands off the mat, we're taking the arms out to the side this time. We're unfurling our back, vertebrae by vertebrae. We're coming up really slowly, really slowly. We're bringing both arms up and overhead. We're bringing our hands together in prayer above our head. And then we're drawing our hands down towards our chest. And we're resting our thumbs on our chest. And we're going to take a lovely breath here. And then we're going to release our hands, give your legs a little bit of a shake. So from where you're standing, we're going to step back, a nice big step with your left foot. And as you do so, you're going to turn your left foot so that the toes are pointing towards the long end of the mat and the sides of the feet are parallel with the short end of the mat. And then you're going to turn your right foot so that the toes are pointing the same way, so that you've now got a nice big wide stance on the long end of your mat. So Bruce, I think I've lost you again. I tried really hard tonight. So from the top of your mat, Bruce, you're going to step back with your left foot, left leg. That's it. And then you're going to turn your left foot so that the toes are pointing towards the long end of your mat. And you're going to turn your right foot so that the toes, that's it, and then turn your body to face the same direction as your toes. Turn your toes, that's it, cracked it. So now you want to make your feet a bit more parallel, that's it, and see if you can make your stance a little bit wider. Brilliant. Okay, that's cool. So then we're all going to take our hands onto our waist. And we're going to inhale and we're going to lift the chest. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to fold from the hips. We're reaching the head and the body away from the hips. And we're folding forward. So reaching the head away from the hips and bending the upper body. We're going to bring the upper body down towards the floor, thinking about it being parallel with the floor. And we're going to hold it when we think we're down at halfway point. Lovely. That's it. So keep your head nice and level with the spine. Keep your knees nice and soft. Stretch your head away from your hips. Try and get a really nice stretch in that spine. We're going to hold it here for one more breath. And then we're going to inhale and we're going to reverse. And we're going to lift our upper body back up to standing, keeping the hands on the hips. But we're going to lift nice and slow. And keep the knees nice and soft. Lovely. Okay. And then once we're standing once more, we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to inhale and lift the chest. And then we're going to exhale. We're going to hinge from the hips. We're stretching the head away from the hips. We're stretching the whole of the upper body away from the hips. We're just coming to the halfway point again. We're thinking about creating a nice flat back that's parallel with the floor. We're thinking about keeping those knees nice and soft. We're going to hold it here and take one more breath. That's lovely. And then we're going to release our hands from our waist. And we're going to see if we can let our arms and our hands drop down towards the floor between our feet. So as you do so, you want to let your upper body fold forward. Lovely. So if your fingertips are on the floor, that's absolutely fantastic. We're going to keep them there and we're going to take 3 breaths here. And as we breathe, we're going to see if we can inhale and lift a little and exhale and fold forward a little bit more. So keep pressing down firmly into your feet. Keep your knees soft. Keep your shoulders soft, your upper body soft. And just let your body weight work to your advantage. And see if you can just gently draw yourself down towards the floor with your breath. That's lovely. And then we're going to hold it here wherever you are. And then using your hands for balance if you can, we're going to heel toe our feet in towards our body. So we're bringing the feet in closer to the center of the body, a couple of steps, and then we're going to finish with our toes pointing away from our body. And again, using your hands to balance, we're going to see if we can drop our bottom down towards the floor and if we can find a low squat position. So we're dropping the bottom down towards the floor. Your feet are apart and your toes are pointing away from your body. So your squat might be, you're resting on your hands and your bottom's quite high, that's okay. Or if you can drop your bottom forward and bring your elbows into your knees and bring your hands together. Otherwise, just stay on your hands. We're going to take one breath here in this lovely squat. Just relax. Lovely. And then using your hands to help balance, I like to take one hand behind me and have one hand in front. We're going to see if we can just ease our bottom down to the mat and bring our bottom down to the floor so that we're sitting on the mat. And then we're going to turn and we're going to take our legs out in front as we come back down onto the mat. So be nice and gentle, lovely. So leaving the feet on the floor with the knees up towards the ceiling, we're going to take our back down to the floor. We're just going to have a little bit of a wriggle and get that lower back nice and flat and in contact with the floor. And then we're going to move our feet, walk our feet out so that our feet are as wide as the mat. And then we're going to let our knees drop together to see if they can find each other in the center of the mat. So let gravity do the work on the legs. Just let them be nice and soft. And then we're going to take our arms out at shoulder height. And we're going to bend our elbows and find our cactus arms. So now we should have created a nice gentle stretch across the chest. We're going to tuck our chin in towards our chest so that we've got a nice gentle stretch in the back of the neck. We're going to have another little wriggle on that lower back and see if we can make contact with the floor. And we're going to take 3 lovely breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling, letting gravity do the work on our legs, letting everything soften down into the floor. Just letting your body rest after our practice. This is called constructive rest, this posture. So got one more lovely breath here. And then we're going to draw our arms off the mat. We're going to release our knees. And we're going to draw our knees into our chest. And we're going to hug our knees into our chest with our arms and our hands. And we're going to have a lovely little roll from side to side on that lower back. And as we massage our lower back, we're going to inhale and draw the knees into the chest. And we're going to exhale and we're going to let them release. Let's have one final breath here, enjoying this massage. And then we're going to release our hands from our knees. And we're going to let our knees fall over to one side towards the floor. And when they reach the floor, we're going to let our body follow so that we rest on one side briefly. And then we're going to use our arms and our hands to help raise us back up into a sitting position. Lovely. And then I'd invite you to join me just sitting for a moment, bringing your hands together in prayer, thumbs to chest, lifting the crown of the head, and taking one final inhale and exhale to complete our practice. Namaste. So, thank you everybody for joining me this evening. I hope you enjoyed the class.